The Tosca group started before I retired from Ontario Medical. And some of you may remember Leonard Murdy and Lee Newcomer. They trained us for a year at Laverne, every Friday afternoon in the library for 3 hours. And that was the fundamental value training in how to do this search. And what I believe sets us apart is that we do a search that is highly personalized. And I was thinking about it on the way out here. When we produce a brochure, our phone numbers are in it. There are personal phone numbers. If you need to call about the search, you don't call an office and get redirected and wait. You call at home and you talk to us. I tell every candidate, you can call at 11:30, I don't care, just call. Secondly, we will spend inordinate time determining what it is that you want us to find out. We go through a process that I'll briefly talk about, and then Cynthia is going to expand on it, but we ask you to tell us what groups you want us to meet with. We ask you to brainstorm. And if that takes, we're just finishing that process in San Gabriel right now. 56 groups. 56 separate groups that we met with, and we go through a series of questions. What is it that makes this a great SELPA? How can this SELPA become better? Prioritize those two lists. Looking at the priorities, what kind of leader do you need? Not whimsically, what kind of leader do you need? Because if you start whimsically, guess what you find? The same thing every place. But it is entirely different. The other way we are different is we have no cadre of candidates. We never carry people forward because every organization is entirely different. We would find that this SELPA is extraordinarily different than any other SELPA. And I can tell you that for sure. And Jeannie, who's worked in any number of them, can tell you that. You need a leader that fits you and this school community. And that's what we set out to find. In our 12-year history, all of our superintendents are still in place with the exception of those that have retired and 2 that have gone to bigger jobs. Now that's pretty amazing when you think about that. But it's because once we identify with you the characteristics, we find that person. There's 36 of us that go out and recruit for you. For example, you tell us in the process what it is you want. Rob Barbeau, who happens now to be the interim in Newport Mesa, but still spends time in Placerville where he lives, will go meet with Dave Gordon. And they will go through that brochure. Dave Gordon's a county sup in Sacramento. And Dave will bring in his special ed people. Who fits these characteristics in this county? Your future SELPA leader probably isn't thinking about you. They're thinking about their job and doing a good job. They're not thinking about moving on. But it takes us, and Rob in this case, to go to that person with your brochure and say, look at this job, it fits you to a T. That's how we find people that stay in place. We match people to needs and characteristics and personalities. And it is an amazing process that we were taught and one that we've carried forward.
Oh, I'm on now. I have to behave.
Cynthia was a long time principal, special ed person. You were a school psychologist. And it's funny, so was I. And high school, one of the very first women, I know it's an insult to say it.
The first woman, yes.
The first woman high school superintendent in the state. And we were talking about this on the way out here, that Betty used to say, it doesn't make any difference. And my response was, yes, it does. It's a great symbolic message. She was first. She worked for CSBA for more than 20 years doing searches. And we wanted one person when CSBA folded its tent. Cynthia Graham.
I go back a long time. Maybe I haven't sat 50 years in this room, but I go back to the days of Superintendent Dirksen, who was wonderful to me as the first woman. I'm the third woman in the state, but the first woman was that high school group, and I sat with them for 7 years as the only woman in the room. So if I sound assertive sometimes, I can be if I have to be. And if they needed to be quiet, I would remind them if Hutton was in the room, and I was there. I've enjoyed my superintendent searches and working from CSBA, but it has been a pleasure with COSCA. Because of the way we cover this state, because of the network, because of a long-standing, and we're all very different, and we only do this because it's a legacy of love that we do this. We don't read W-O-R-K, J-O-B, 9 to 5 every day. That's why we retire. And, but we do this because it's out of love for children. I have a master's in special ed from Arizona State. Why did I get that? Because as a young teacher, I seemed to get the children who were limited in their capabilities, who were emotionally disturbed, who were, and I thought they were kids, and I taught them. So I wanted more skills. Came to Anaheim. I am a believer that we do not always have to label children in order to facilitate their education. So anyway, 18 years as a superintendent. I'm one of the old dinosaurs in the state, but there's still some energy in the batteries. I'm not a Duracell bunny, but I can get out there and hustle. It's very nice to work with Jeannie, who knows you, and with Frank, because I will bring those questions to the table that as I'm watching and listening, maybe I'm not understanding, so I can have the capability of asking. They can also question me as to my funny attitude. But every word that is spoken in our process is brought back to you. There are many, many sheets of paper, and our first meeting with this group is absolutely critical to us to identify from your viewpoint the strengths and the needs and critical issues that you are facing. We need to have your words, your perceptions. We also need for you to tell us what the groups that we need to talk with. Who do we need to interact with? You heard 56 groups in San Gabriel, South Pasadena. You know, the list goes on, and we will come back until we have heard from people, because we need to know what you want as much as what you do not want. You know, do you want top down? Do you want bottom up? Do you want collaboration? Do you want input? Do you want? That's what you have to keep telling us, and or the groups do. You do first of all. And we need to have these strengths. We need to know what you are proud of. We have potential to see it and sense it as we're in your community. But we want it from you so that the brochure also reflects in words and or pictures. Are you interested in having something that I call glitzy? The colors, the shiny paper, the all out. Or do you want to be just a little quieter in your approach to dealing with children who have special needs, with parents who have special needs? What is that going to look like? I can't tell you. You as a group and the groups we meet with will have to tell us that. Now, are you busy people? The answer is yes. But one of the things that's so important to me is that we all are in the same room at the same time with this group or with other groups that we're meeting with but for you to be here and give us the time and your expertise in a sincere fashion. Is it all right for you to agree to disagree? Of course it is, because it will all go down on that paper. And when we have the input from the other groups, when we bring it back, you will see it all. You will see the words that have been used. Then we begin the process of prioritizing. What are the most important to you? Do you want a local person? Do you want us to have gone out and sought somebody nationally? We have the capability of our network because of leadership in national associations and with also school boards and like that to advertise on web pages. And with technology, the word can go out very rapidly. If hired, it will immediately go on our web page that there is an opening here. We want to give people time, candidates also, to take a look at this and start making that personal phone call to Jeannie or to Frank or to myself, because our names are known, and call and ask, is this a good place? What was your sense when you walked in the room? My sense was I walked into some smiles. I walked into a more relaxed atmosphere. The president wanted your attention. He let us wander around and get in the appropriate seats where we were told to sit, and we did it. But in examining all of this information, you have to listen with your third ear. And over the years, I found that in these meetings of going back and prioritizing, I continue to be fascinated how they sift out, whether it be from the parents or if you want us to meet with some of your teachers, or if you want us to meet with some of your older students for them to tell us what's important, we can do that. We've been around the block a long time, and we know how to do that, and would be very happy to do it. In arranging for advertisements, we have to look at your timeline. What is it that you want for the date for the person to come into the position? All of us, retired or not, no. It's not a pretty time. And it's not going to be a pretty time necessarily in terms of the finances, in terms of what we are facing for the next several years. We have faced critical times before, but this one, we're kind of on the bottom rung right now, scratching for survival. We're also realistic that special needs students sometimes are very expensive, and we know that, and we know that there have to be creative ways of seeking resources. Resources do not always have to be dollars. They can be services. Is that the kind of person that you want out there in your communities and with you, looking for those kinds of things to provide needs for your kids? As I said, we can advertise wherever you want us to. The Exceptional Children's Council is still around. It was in the 60s when I was around working special ed. So, there's those. We have AASA, the American Association of School Administrator, contact. We have contact with national school boards and California school board web pages. We have conferences that are coming up. We have university contacts with people that are in graduate school. Are degrees important to your community or not? I worked in a community where it wasn't important. It was not important. They wanted a master's, but the doctorate was okay. But it wasn't a requirement. There are changing needs with communities as you shift in your population in terms of the need for role models, in terms of the needs of skills in communicating with your communities. Is it in terms of Spanish? But it is not. I had a district the day I left with 71 cultures. Did I have 71 native speakers? No, I did not. But did we communicate? The answer is yes. So is that going to be important to you? All of the different kinds of things that you bring to this table in your belief in what children should have, what opportunities and access they need to have to be successful. There was no greater pleasure than when you watch graduations of comprehensive high schools, and you also watch the graduation of special need children who announced they have their job, they have their savings account, they have their Social Security, they have, and they had choices as if they were graduating from a program within a comprehensive high school. That's when we're prideful. That's when we can hold our heads up and know that we have given the best leadership. We have made the best investment in children. Now, in terms of the process, after all of this information, and the brochure is out, and we are advertising, and we are recruiting, then we need to go into another phase, which is, because all of your staff is busy. Your administrative assistant is busy, as is your director. And that's why we maintain the paperwork. That's why the paperwork comes to us. We would ask the person to help with a couple of things, which would be a facility. For this morning, you had to arrange for another group to be seated while we're in here talking to you. All right, we need to have a facility or a space or a location to meet with all the various groups. And so we would ask for that. We could also ask for a press release to go to the newspaper that people could communicate with us in a written fashion, as well as coming to a gathering or calling to give us their input of what is significant to them, what is important to them, what is it that they want. We also use a large number of screeners to paper screen papers as they have come in. And the first thing you do is go through the requirements of what it is that you want the person to have. But then secondly, you go through and you look at the bullets as to your priorities. Is it the collaboration? Is it the person that's going to be out and knows everybody in the community and all the services and so on? Or is it somebody that's working both inside and outside of the area to bring in resources and services and funding for you? So anyway, those are the kinds of things that we will do for you. You will have the opportunity of seeing every application that comes in, good, bad, or indifferent. And there's one section of the country that comes in, if we go national, it'll be handwritten with chicken scratch. And that one kind of goes to the bottom of the pile. We try to read it, we do our best, but it doesn't come to the top of the pile. And that's the forced entry kind of thing. And each one of us reads with a different set of eyes. We read with the criteria, but we always read with our hearts also, as to we're involved too, and we read them, and then we see what our paper screeners have been able to tell us about the people. By the way, I can't give you anything. It's sinus and allergy, but it will go away. I promise you that. It better go away. We also do the involvement of scheduling interviews. We go through the logistics of that. So when we ask you to find dates that we can do interviews on, we will ask that you be here. We will ask for those kinds of commitments, that you will take that time and sacrifice, because we